I invite Reverend Linworth Anglin, former Executive Chairman of the Church of God in Jamaica, to lead us in prayer.
A very good morning to you and Happy New Year to you all. And let us, as we come to another swearing-in ceremony, let us do as we normally do, but with a different expectation on this first Monday in the new year, 2025. Let us pause for prayer. Let us bow. Our gracious God, we continue to give you thanks for your mercies that have been extended to us as individuals and as a nation, as families together. We thank you that you continue to extend your love to us. We thank you that you have seen it fit to call us into your service in the different spheres of activities. We thank you for these judges who will be sworn in a short while. And we will not take for granted the importance of this time of prayer even before they are sworn in. For unless the Lord builds the house, they labor in vain that build it. Except the Lord watches the city, the watchman waketh but in vain. So we recognize the futility of our own efforts, but the fullness that we can enjoy as we trust you. So we pray for them as they are sworn in, pray for their families, and by extension we pray for the judiciary that in a very special way you will bless each person at each level across this island. So we commit the ceremony into your hands. We commit the Governor General, His Excellency, into your hands. Commit the Deputy Governor General, Honorable Stedman Fuller, into your hands. And we commit all of us into your hands today. And we continue to trust you and to give you all the praise and all the glory. And we give you thanks in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated. The Honorable Stedman Fuller, Deputy Governor General, will now address us, after which the Governor General's Secretary, Major Dwayne Hill, will read the instruments of appointment and invite the judges to take and subscribe to the oath of allegiance and the judicial oath. Deputy Governor General, sir.
Honorable Mr. Justice Sykes, Chief Justice, Honorable Mrs. Justice MacDonald Bishop, other members of the judiciary, members of the Judicial Service Commission, judges designate, Reverend Linworth Anglin, CD, former Executive Chairman, Church of God in Jamaica. Ladies and gentlemen, guests viewing the online platforms, good morning to you. It is with great honor and pride that I welcome you to today's swearing-in ceremony for the Hillary term. This ceremony marks a pivotal moment in the lives of those who will soon take up the mantle of a higher judicial service. Each swearing-in is a solemn pledge, a formal beginning of a lifelong commitment to upholding the law, safeguarding justice, and serving our society with unwavering dedication. Your decision will shape the course of justice and ensure that the principles of fairness, equity, and the rule of law are upheld. We recognize and commend you for your integrity, your resilience, and your steadfast commitment to these noble ideals. So taking the judicial oath today represents a commitment to uphold the highest standards of justice, to exercise independent judgment free from undue influence, and to act with the utmost ethical conduct in all matters before you. It is a pledge to ensure that justice is not only done, but is seen in every case that comes before you. Today, we celebrate your commitment to serving in the Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court, two of the most important institutions in our legal system. Your decision to offer yourselves to these roles is a testament to your dedication to justice and the public good. Let us now take a moment to acknowledge and honor each of you as you take the oath and embark on this momentous journey. Please join me in recognizing the individuals who are being sworn in today. Judge of Appeal, the Honorable Mr. Justice Kisok Laing. Acting Judge of Appeal, the Honorable Mrs. Justice Georgina Fraser. Acting Puisne Judges, Her Honor, Ms. Opal Smith, Her Honor, Mrs. Tracy Ann Johnson. Acting Master in Chambers, Her Honor, Ms. Christine McNeil. Congratulations and best wishes.
To the Honorable Mr. Justice Kisok Christopher St. Elmo Laing. Greetings. Whereas subsection 2 of section 104 of the Constitution of Jamaica provides that judges of the Court of Appeal shall be appointed by the Governor General by instrument under the broad seal on the advice of the Judicial Service Commission. And whereas a vacancy has arisen, and whereas the Judicial Service Commission has advised that you, Kisok Christopher St. Elmo Laing, should be appointed as Judge of Court of Appeal. Now therefore, know ye that I, Stedman Alvin Ridout Fuller, Deputy Governor General of Jamaica, reposing full trust in your zeal, ability, and discretion, do hereby, in exercise of the power vested in me by the Constitution of Jamaica, appoint you, the said Kisok Christopher St. Elmo Laing, as Judge of the Court of Appeal for the purposes of the Constitution of Jamaica, with effect from the 13th January 2025, given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House this 6th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025, and the 3rd year of the reign of His Majesty King Charles III. God save the King.
I, Kisok Christopher St. Elmo Laing, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of Jamaica, so help me God. I, Kisok Christopher St. Elmo Laing, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Jamaica, and that I will administer justice to all persons alike in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica without fear or favor, affection, or ill will. So help me God.
To the Honorable Mrs. Justice Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, greetings. Whereas subsection 2 of section 105 of the Constitution of Jamaica provides that acting judges of the Court of Appeal shall be appointed by the Governor General by instrument under the broad seal on the advice of the Judicial Service Commission. And whereas the Honorable Mrs. Justice Almarie Sinclair Haynes has been granted pre-retirement leave. And whereas the Judicial Service Commission has advised that you, Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, should be appointed to act as judge of the Court of Appeal. Now, therefore, know ye that I, Stedman Alvin Ridout Fuller, Deputy Governor General of Jamaica, reposing full trust in your zeal, ability, and discretion, do hereby, in exercise of the power vested in me by the Constitution of Jamaica, appoint you, the said Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, to act as judge of the Court of Appeal for the purposes of the Constitution of Jamaica, with effect from the 13th January 2025 and until further orders. Given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House this 6th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025 and the 3rd year of the reign of His Majesty King Charles III. God save the King.
I, Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of Jamaica, so help me God. I, Georgiana Jacqueline Fraser, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Jamaica, and that while acting in the office of Judge of the Court of Appeal, I will administer justice to all persons alike, in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica, without fear or favor, affection or ill will. So help me God.
To Her Honor, Miss Opal Shauna Marie Smith, Her Honor, Mrs. Tracy Ann Latoya Johnson, greetings. Whereas subsection 2 of section 99 of the Constitution of Jamaica provides that acting puisne judges shall be appointed by the Governor General by instrument under the broad seal on the advice of the Judicial Service Commission. And whereas the Honorable Mrs. Justice Georgiana Fraser has been appointed to act in a higher post, and the Honorable Miss Justice Althea Jarrett granted vacation leave, respectively. And whereas the Judicial Service Commission has advised that you, Opal Shauna Marie Smith, and Tracy Ann Latoya Johnson should be appointed to act as puisne judges. Now, therefore, know ye that I, Stedman Alvin Ridout Fuller, Deputy Governor General of Jamaica, reposing full trust in your zeal, ability, and discretion, do hereby, in exercise of the power vested in me by the Constitution of Jamaica, appoint you, the said Opal Shauna Marie Smith, to act as puisne judge for the purposes of the Constitution of Jamaica during the period from the 13th January 2025 and until further orders. And the said Tracy Ann Latoya Johnson to act as puisne judge for the purposes of the Constitution with effect from the 7th January 2025 to the 10th April 2025. Given under my hand and the broad seal of Jamaica at King's House this 6th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025 and the 3rd year of the reign of His Majesty King Charles III. God save the King.
I, Opal Sean Marie Smith, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of Jamaica, so help me God. I, Opal Sean Marie Smith, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Jamaica, and that, while acting in the office of puisne judge, I will administer justice to all persons alike in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, so help me God.
I, Tracy Ann Latoya Johnson, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution and the laws of Jamaica, and that I will conscientiously and impartially discharge my responsibilities to the people of Jamaica, so help me God. I, Tracy Ann Latoya Johnson, do swear that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to Jamaica, that I will uphold and defend the Constitution of Jamaica, and that while acting in the office of puisne judge, I will administer justice to all persons alike in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica, without fear or favor, affection or ill will, so help me God.
To Her Honor, Miss Christine Markal McNeil, greetings. Whereas pursuant to Section 112 of the Constitution of Jamaica, the Governor General may make appointments to certain offices connected with the courts of Jamaica, as may be prescribed by Parliament. And whereas Miss Stephanie Orr has been appointed to act in a higher post, And whereas the Judicial Service Commission has advised that you, Christine Marcal McNeil, should be appointed to act as Master in Chambers. Now therefore, know ye that I, Stedman Alvin Ridout Fuller, Deputy Governor General of Jamaica, reposing full trust in your zeal, ability, and discretion, do hereby, in exercise of the power vested in me by the Constitution of Jamaica, appoint you, the said Christine Marcal McNeil, to act as Master in Chambers during the period from the 7th January 2025 to the 10th April 2025. Given under my hand at King's House the 6th day of January in the year of our Lord 2025, and the 3rd year of the reign of His Majesty King Charles III. God save the King.
I will administer justice to all persons alike in accordance with the laws and usages of Jamaica without fear or favor, affection or ill will, so help me God.
Ladies and gentlemen, I now invite Chief Justice, the Honorable Mr. Justice Sykes, to give his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Let me adopt the order of precedence established by Reverend Anglin, and I will only recognize as I look out into the audience, I see the retired President of the Court of Appeal, Honorable Mr. Justice Patrick Brooks, retired Senior Puny Judge, Honorable Mrs. Justice Gloria Smith. So welcome, good to see you. Happy New Year to all of you, and hope you had a very pleasant, holy, and happy Christmas, and that you have renewed your gym membership for January to prepare for the Christmas that is to come at the end of this year. So I wish to also take note of what was reported in the press, where His Excellency underwent a medical procedure, and from all reports has been successful, and he is recuperating. So I'll ask the Deputy Governor General to convey to His Excellency the best wishes of the judiciary and to wish him a speedy recovery. So we are here this morning at a very important ceremony where judges are sworn in to prominent positions and acting positions in the higher judiciary. This morning, Laing, who has been confirmed as a judge of appeal, is the Honorable Mrs. Justice Georgiana Fraser, who has been sworn as an acting judge of appeal, and Her Honor Miss Opal Smith and Mrs. Tracy Ann Johnson as acting puisne judges of the Supreme Court, and Her Honor Miss Christine McNeil as a master of the Supreme Court. Now, let me begin by apologizing for the absence of the President of the Court of Appeal, the Honorable Mrs. Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop. She had an event outside of Jamaica to which she was committed, and so is therefore unavoidably absent. So I am here now delivering two remarks in one, my own and hers, but since hers is more eloquent than mine, I'll read it first, taking advantage of the principle of primacy and recency that you will recall what you hear first. So it says, regrettably, I am unable to attend this morning, this first swearing-in ceremony for the judiciary in this new year 2025 due to prior pressing commitments outside the jurisdiction. Nevertheless, kindly permit me to utilize this opportunity to wish for Their Excellencies the Honorable Sir Patrick Allen and Lady Allen, the Honorable Stedman Fuller and Mrs. Fuller, fellow judges, staff of King's House, and all other persons present and in the virtual platforms a happy, healthy, safe, and prosperous 2025. On behalf of the Court of Appeal family, I extend my heartiest congratulations to all the judicial officers sworn in this morning. They deserve their appointments, and I am confident that they will continue to execute their functions and conduct themselves with the requisite propriety, independence, integrity, impartiality, competence, diligence, and sense of justice they have exhibited so far. They are all where they are today because of the recognition of the Judicial Services Commission, the legal profession, and their peers that they are worthy of elevation to higher office based on their work ethic, integrity, dignity, and decorum. I feel obliged to single out the appointees, the Honorable Mr. Justice Kisok Laing and the Honorable Mrs. Georgiana Fraser, the two judges who are sworn in to join the Court of Appeal, one permanently and the other in an acting capacity. I warmly welcome Justice Fraser once more to the court. Her ongoing acting appointments have redounded to the benefit of the court in several respects, and I thank her in particular for agreeing to be a member of a panel that will continue the pilot docket system for a second term. We at the Court of Appeal are grateful for her consistent dedication, industry, and collegiality, and we enthusiastically look forward to her rejoining us this term. My loudest applause and heartfelt elation is, however, reserved for Justice Laing, who is now permanently appointed a Judge of Appeal. I can imagine how relieved he must be now not to have to return to King's House to be sworn in the near future. Justice Laing's appointment to higher office is well deserved. Incidentally, we started our sojourn in the judiciary on the same day on June 1, 2020, almost 25 years ago, when we were appointed to act as resident magistrates, as the parish courts were known at the time. He was assigned to the St. Catherine Resident Magistrates Court and I to the Manchester Resident Magistrates Court. He later saw it fit to expand his horizons to greener pastures overseas, where he managed to solidify his legal skills, among other things which now benefit the Jamaican judiciary. Although he had taken a detour along the professional highway, he is now right where he belongs. Welcome back, my brother. Apart from his qualifications and experience, which I know the Honorable Chief Justice will outline, Justice Laing possesses the essential attributes of an appellate judge that qualify him for selection at this time. These qualities, according to Meta AI, and I know he will appreciate my effort on using AI, include intellectual curiosity, an analytical mind, strong research and writing skills, objectivity and impartiality, knowledge of the law, collegiality, team spirit, integrity and ethics, strong time management skills, ability to handle stress and pressure, humility, willingness to acknowledge error, and adaptability and openness to new ideas. Indeed, this adaptability and openness to new ideas has made him the Chief Justice's pick for advancing the artificial intelligence interests of the Jamaican judiciary, a role he has embraced with gusto. In sum, Justice Laing is a suitable fit for the Court of Appeal, and I expect him to continue on the same trajectory of excellence, which, with time, more experience, and continuous good health could only catapult him to more remarkable achievements. I sincerely wish him and his fellow appointees the best in their respective roles and thank their families for their sacrifices in allowing them to provide yeoman service to the people of Jamaica. Thank you. So those are the remarks of the President of the Court of Appeal. And now I will have my remarks. So I will focus largely on the Honourable Mr. Justice Kisok Laing since he's up for permanent appointment. And I will say in respect to the four ladies, they have contributed significantly to the courts in which they have been assigned for the past 2 years or so. They have also contributed beyond their immediate judicial work in the court. They have contributed to the social life and the ongoing implementation for better operations of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeal, and making significant suggestions to make the courts more efficient. By virtue of their contribution, they have and continue to enhance the rule of law and strengthening judicial independence, which contribute to meeting one of our strategic objectives, namely increasing trust and confidence in our courts by hearing and disposing of cases fairly, justly, courteously, and consistent with the judiciary's core values. I have no doubt that at the appropriate time, His Excellency will receive the recommendation from the Judicial Services Commission to confirm their appointments. Turning now to the Honourable Mr. Justice Laing, he began his legal career as a clerk of court in the then Resident Magistrates Court for the Corporate Area in 1991, came to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions in 1992, and then he left in 1995 to go to the jurisdiction of Anguilla, where he practiced commercial law for a number of years. He returned to Jamaica and was at FinSAC, not because he was a debtor, but as provide legal services there. And then he commenced his judicial career as a resident magistrate at the Resident Magistrates Court for St. Catherine in 2000, as you have heard in the remarks of the President of the Court of Appeal. Then he went to the Resident Magistrates Court for the Corporate Area, and then in 2005, he went to the British Virgin Islands and continued his practice in commercial law until 2014, when he returned here, was appointed to the Supreme Court. While there, he presided in criminal and general civil matters before finally settling in the commercial division of the Supreme Court. And there he was until he was invited to act in the Court of Appeal in 2002 and has done so continuously except for one part of the Hillary term in 2023. So his knowledge, skill, competence, expeditious completion of matters, his efficient management of cases marked him as a dedicated, efficient judicial officer. In short, Deputy Governor General and audience, he was not simply a book-qualified judge, but his judge craft made him performance qualified to sit in the Court of Appeal and to be confirmed. He has become a reliable and excellent member of the court. He embodies the spirit of collegiality. He supports his colleagues and supports the activities of the court. And importantly, he has honed the important skill of disagreeing agreeably, a quality that is significant in a court with just 13 judges. He has contributed to the judiciary not only through his jurisprudence, but by developing a discussion paper on the use of artificial intelligence. And he has agreed to chair the committee, which is a permanent committee, which is to examine all questions related to the use of artificial intelligence within the judiciary and to make recommendations which will then, if accepted, be transformed into practice directions. So we look forward to his contribution in that regard. And so, ladies and gentlemen, we have in the Honorable Mr. Justice Laing an excellent judge, an excellent person, and supremely wonderful human being, and so congratulations to him on his appointment. Now, at these ceremonies, we tend to refer to the contribution of family, and it is not a perfunctory statement or something that is expected on occasions of this nature. For those of us who have been judicial officers and are judicial officers, the hours that it takes, the dedication that it takes, it really requires the consistent support of immediate family and extended family, both biological and friends. And so success is never one person's alone. And Justice Laing will no doubt tell you that without the support of family, friends, well-wishers, and his wife Nadine, who is here, he would not be here this morning. So I wish to say thanks to all of them who nurtured him from the time he was a baby, toddler, primary school, at Monroe, through the University of the West Indies, and throughout his professional life, so that he has become the judicial officer that he is, capable and worthy of appointment to the Court of Appeal of Jamaica. So thank you to all of you. Now the Court of Appeal, just to say in respect of the performance of the court, as you know, I wouldn't be me without referring to data. So just to say that the Court of Appeal is on course again this year to dispose of more cases than cases coming in. And what does that mean in practical terms? It means that this will be the third year that that is happening. And what the statisticians will tell us is that when you have that performance for 3 consecutive years, then that is now confirmed as the now current standard of the court. So what has happened is that the court has steadily improved. Justice Morrison, Justice Brooks, continuing with the current president. And so for speaking the language of ordinary persons now, what it means is that in time the Court of Appeal will reduce its backlog, because that is how a backlog is reduced. That is to say, you dispose of more cases more cases than cases coming in. And so I wish to congratulate the judges there, the staff, the registrar, the police officers, and all the persons who have contributed to the performance of the court. So congratulations to the Court of Appeal. And Justice Laing and Justice Georgiana Fraser have contributed to that in a very significant way. So that is in respect of the Court of Appeal. Now, there are other things that I'll just mention briefly here. Certainly in the Supreme Court, we are now in a position to say that we'll begin digital recording of court proceedings and the criminal courts in the Easter term, that is April. The posts have been created, the rules are in place. That is the work of the committee led by the Honorable Mr. Justice Leighton Pusey. A lot of work went in there over the last couple of years, and so we are now there. Training is to be received through collaboration with one of our international partners, and that will include everybody: judges, the digital clerks, the transcriptionists, defense counsel, everyone, because it is going to necessitate changing practices and the way the courts operate and the rhythm and flow of work in the courts. So the practice of court starting, witness giving evidence, come to the end of evidence, witnesses coming out, and when the witnesses are transitioning, counsel pops up, "Oh, Judge, may I mention the matter of so and so and so?" It will only take 5 or 10 minutes and it becomes 20 minutes. That will now have to come to an end, because to get the best out of digital recording, you need to have the continuous recording of the evidence, so that the transcriptionist will not have to spend the time now trying to say, "Oh, this is a part of this case, this refers to a bail application, this refers to a case management." So the evidence will be taken in blocks, so that matters relating to bail applications and so on, now you do them come early or towards the end of the sitting, whether at lunch or at the end of the day. So that is a positive development there. The other aspect of it relates to the operations of the court administratively and operationally. Now we know of the court administration division, and it's a very significant division because it actually reflects the recommendations made by the Chevrons Committee way back in 2007, paragraphs 143 to 154. I remember because I read them not so long ago, where it spoke to the establishment of an independent administrative agency to look after the affairs of the court and to be dedicated exclusively to the running of the courts. Now, experience has taught us that courts have principles by which they operate to become efficient. And if we are talking about the independence of the judiciary, then it means that the judges and other persons in the court have to embrace full responsibility for the management and operations of the courts, which means that the leadership core of the courts, the Chief Justice, the President of the Court of Appeal, the Chief Judge of the Parish Courts, the Senior Judge of the Parish Court, and so on, will have to, as time goes on, receive the requisite training to strengthen judicial independence. That's its primary objective, but ultimately to have the courts working more efficiently to serve our people. And to that end, this year, we will definitely be institutionalizing what we have learned over the past 6 years and building upon it through training. So we now be establishing an institution for the training of the leadership core of court. That should come on sometime around the middle of the year. Now, as important as those things are, I have to mention briefly the risks to the judiciary achieving its objectives, its strategic objectives. As you know, we do not raise money. We get money from Parliament. And significant sums of money has to come from the executive. And I'm mentioning this in the context of the integrated electronic case management system, which we have been talking about for quite some time. A conference was held in January 2020, notice January 2020. And a report was produced. It was hosted by the Ministry of Justice along with the IDB, and the report was produced around May, June of the year, and the recommendations adopted. That was about the middle of 2020. We are now in 2025. Visits to Rwanda, visits to Spain, Rwanda coming here, decisions made, and so on. And to date, we can't move forward. Why is that? I don't know, but it suggests that it's not being treated with the degree of urgency that it ought to be. It is vital that we get the electronic case management system in because, one, it will not only improve efficiency, but for the view of our legal system from the outside, it is very significant. Why is this? The World Bank used to produce a report, Ease of Doing Business. Now they call it business readiness. And one of the things that they use to assess countries is the ability to communicate with the courts on a 24-hour basis. Translation, if you do not have in place an electronic case management system that can receive files, documents, literally 24 hours a day, you are going to be marked down and regarded as a place not to invest. So it is not just about the judiciary, but it has implications for whether persons make the decision to invest in Jamaica. So I can only appeal to those who have to make the decision to do so quickly so that we can begin the process of the development of the system so that our people can benefit. It has immediate benefit, for example, when you're dealing with divorces, dealing with estate matters, the transmission of property and wealth from one generation to the next, that could be sped up significantly. So I need it there. And the other threat comes from the procurement process. I was pleased to note that the Honorable Prime Minister is committing to reforming the procurement process. I must say, I couldn't agree with him more. The simple fact is it is not working. It's not doing what it is supposed to do and has actually become an obstacle and a hindrance to development. And the experience of the courts has been horrendous with it. When the gang trial was going on, for example, we had to ensure that the equipment in the court was of a minimum quality. So we put out the tender inviting persons to come and provide the service, microphones, cameras, screens, and so on. So 3 turned up, we took them through the process, 1 was left standing, so leased the equipment from the person. But having regard to the cost, we recognize that, but if this continues, we're paying for the thing several times over. So we decided to say, okay, let us buy the equipment. So because of the price, it had to go to this body outside. They said, no. You need to do over the process and open it up. So what was the end result? The end result was that we don't have the equipment, we didn't get the training, and we ended up paying funds that you could have purchased the system 3 times. So that is what the procurement process produces. Our second experience with regard to the air conditioning unit in the Court of Appeal, which is almost a year now, and the part still is not here. A problem in the Supreme Court with the central air conditioning unit. We decided to go to a split unit, same thing, went out, did the procurement, found a supplier who actually had the air conditioning units in Jamaica. Nothing to suggest that the person is a rascal or anything like that. So you'd want to think that this is a good decision. Again, because of the value, it had to go to this entity outside. They said, no. This person that you have selected is not a grade 1 or grade 2 provider. So having regard to the size, and so you have to go with a grade 1 or a grade. But you said, but the man has the thing here, we need it now. They said, no, you have to go with a grade 1 or a grade 2 provider. So we said, okay, let us go and find this grade 1 or grade 2 provider. The person had no money to execute the contract, no air conditioning units. So what's the end result? No air conditioning units in the areas that need it. And so any system that consistently produces those kinds of results, it's a system in need of overhauling. So in that regard, I agree with the Prime Minister that it really needs to be done over. It really isn't fit for purpose, and not fulfilling its objectives. So I close by again congratulating Justice Laing and the other judges on their appointment this morning, and to express my gratitude for all of you for turning out this bright Monday morning, and we look forward to their continued contribution and to the good health and well-being of everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Justice Sykes. I now invite the Honorable Mr. Justice Kisok Laing to respond on behalf of the judges who have been sworn. Sir?
Deputy Governor General, sir, in the interest of saving time, may I be permitted to adopt the precedent already set by you and as expanded by the Honorable Chief Justice in honoring the order of precedence and proper protocol. Ladies and gentlemen present and viewing virtually, good morning. On behalf of my fellow appointees and on my own behalf, I wish to thank the Deputy Governor General, the Honorable Chief Justice, and the Honorable President of the Court of Appeal, whose message was delivered by the Honorable Chief Justice, for your expressions of congratulations and motivation. Thanks also to Reverend Anglin for your encouraging invocation. We wish His Excellency the Governor General a speedy recovery. My fellow appointees and I are all judicial officers who have previously acted in these positions. We wish to convey our gratitude to the Judicial Service Commission for continuing to repose trust in our ability to perform our duties at the highest level. And we assure the members of the Commission and the citizens of Jamaica that we will continue to dispense justice in accordance with the oaths which we have taken. For my part, I thank the Judicial Service Commission for their probing questions at my interview. And thankfully, I satisfied any doubt that the members may have had as to my suitability. As you heard earlier, I was first appointed to act in January of 2022, 3 years ago. There were no vacancies in the Court of Appeal, so each term I acted in place of a judge who went on vacation, and at the end of the term, I would revert to my substantive position as a puisne judge. This constant movement up and down was never a problem for me, and I would have been quite pleased to continue the serial acting until retirement. Okay, I take that back. That's probably not true. I am elated that this day has finally arrived, for obvious reasons. But one benefit is that I no longer have to endure the poor attempts at humor relating to my acting stints. My friends are among the brightest minds, but the jokes are all unimaginative, and if I should be blunt, very corny. They all go something like this. Kisok, when are you going to get an Oscar award for acting performance in a courtroom drama? Or when are you going to get a Lifetime Achievement Award for all the acting that you're doing? It has been painful. Nevertheless, corny jokes aside, the process has given me the opportunity to make many of these speeches in response, and I have always tried to make them generic and impersonal. Today, it is with very little regret that I say goodbye to my fellow cast of actors. But I crave their indulgence in this, my swan song at this podium, to make a speech that is more personal. At the risk of boring everyone, I will give a brief overview of my journey to this point, elements of which have already been mentioned by the Honorable Chief Justice. Neither of my parents had the opportunity to attend college, but they were convinced of the value of education. My mother, Laurel, was a postmistress, and my father, Kisak, now deceased, whose name I share, was a farmer, businessman, politician, justice of the peace, a voracious reader, and what is described in colloquial language as a village lawyer. He knew, or people thought he knew, much of the law relevant to our small community. And by default, he became a practitioner of alternative dispute resolution long before that concept became in vogue. The result was that our yard was regularly filled by people asking him to mediate various disputes. Against this background, it would have been delightful if I could give an inspiring story of a little country boy who witnessed this and got a burning desire to become a lawyer, which he fulfilled by dint of his hard work and passion for the law, eventually becoming a judge of appeal. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but that is not my story. Malcolm Gladwell is one of my favorite modern authors. He has Jamaican roots and is the cousin of one of my high school classmates, who never misses a chance to remind me of that fact. I consume all things Gladwell: books, podcasts, speeches, you name it. In his book titled Outliers, he examines the factors that lead to outstanding success in all fields of endeavor, such as opportunity, socioeconomic or sociocultural background, and hard work through repetition and practice. He challenges the notion that success is purely based on individual talent or merit, and I wholly accept his analysis in this regard. I appreciate that there are many inflection points in my life at which an alternative reality could have happened. So this is not a self-aggrandizing account. My sister, Justice Fraser, has asked me to keep it short, and I will try to be shorter than the Honorable Chief Justice, but I make no promises. I entered this world by home birth in Little London, Westmoreland, delivered by Nurse Hunter, who was a family friend. Little London was a small village with no particular claim to fame, but is now the future home of the Negril International Airport. Yes. That's tourism marketing at its best. My earliest memories of learning include attending a basic school taught by Miss Az, as she was known, followed by Sesame Street in the late afternoons. And no, I was not named after the Sesame Street character Elmo. He first appeared about 1980 and is not to be confused with Saint Elmo, after whom I am named, who is the patron saint of sailors and abdominal pain. Yes, a truly odd combination. I don't know if my name has anything to do with my home birth and any pain that accompanied it. My mother still owes me an explanation. After basic school, I attended the Little London Primary School, which was approximately 800 meters from my home. At that time, it was what could accurately be described as a failing primary school. Each year, very few students passed the common entrance exams. And based on the statistics, in all probability, I also would have failed had I remained there. So, after 3 years, like my siblings and cousins before me, I joined the 2 busloads of students from Little London who journeyed to Amity in Westmoreland, 14 kilometers away, to attend the Unity Primary School, which, under the leadership of its principal, Ms. Dobson, had a stellar reputation for a high pass rate in the common entrance exams. I questioned at that tender age why one publicly funded primary school was so vastly superior to another. Half a century later, and using Gladwell's analysis, I understand why there is such a wide disparity between our primary schools and our high schools. I am not naive, and I appreciate that there will always be a difference in performance between schools. But I posit that the gap does not have to be as wide as it currently exists between our best performing and our worst performing public schools. Gladwell frequently explores the concept of capitalization, or how well countries are able to unearth and use their human resources. He has acknowledged Jamaica's high capitalization rate in relation to the athletic ability of our youth, particularly sprinters, a phenomenon of which we're all aware. We can debate whether he places sufficient weight on what might be an inherent genetic advantage, but what is undisputed is that if you are a sprinter, we will find you, whether at basic, primary, prep, high school, or in a few exceptional cases, in college. However, evidently there is at least one sprinter, a judge, who has managed to slip through the cracks. No, not me. I discovered very early at primary school that I was not among the fastest runners, and my relative ranking among my peers remained about the same as I aged. That person is a certain judge who is not present, who is the sister of multiple Olympic medalist Beverly McDonald Stewart. Side fact, Beverly is married to Ray Stewart, another of our extremely talented sprinters. This judge asserts that she too would have been an Olympian, even if not a medalist, were it not for the fact that she had to catch the bus, iron her school uniform, study. I can't recall all the excuses. And I guess we will never know what could have been. But the loss to the world of athletics is the judiciary's gain. And we are thankful that Jamaica did not capitalize on the sprinting talent of our first female president of the Court of Appeal, Her Ladyship, the Honorable Justice Marva MacDonald Bishop. But to get back on track, Gladwell suggests, supported by cogent empirical evidence, that poverty is an obvious but underestimated factor that limits human capitalization, even for individuals with genius-level IQs. In my opinion, our education system lends support to this theory. Too many of our athletes are leaving too many of our students are leaving primary schools unable to or barely able to read. These are almost all the children of parents with limited economic means. Gladwell argues that economically poor households often do not have the cultural and institutional support for a habit of learning and a habit of intellectual activity. Nevertheless, despite these constraints, I think we can all agree that it is imperative that we also capitalize on the latent intellectual ability of our children so that they and the country can prosper in this information age. I have said this on a previous occasion, but I feel compelled to repeat that as a nation, we must devise a robust early childhood and primary school network to provide all children with the necessary literacy and numeracy skills. And yes, AI can properly be utilized as a tool to support teaching. We must recognize the importance of cultural legacy and instill the message that education, which includes occupational skills training, remains the easiest path to upward social mobility. We can do this while acknowledging the opportunities that will continue to exist for our sportsmen, sportswomen, and all our creatives. The ultimate objective must be to create a mindset in our children to rise above their circumstances in order to give them a fair chance to score goals, even though the field on which they play might not be level. So please pardon my brief foray outside my realm of expertise and into social commentary. But I've always appreciated that had my parents not been able to afford the transportation costs for me to attend Unity Primary and to pay fees for extra lessons, my life would have taken a different path. But fortunately for me, they could. And after a few corrections with the then ubiquitous leather strap, I passed the common entrance exams and earned a place to attend Manning's High School. I ended up at Monroe College, whose motto is, in arche sitam quis occultabit, a city set upon a hill cannot be hidden. It's found in the Bible at Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. And please note that whenever I use the term ended up, that is merely an editorial device I use to avoid a sequence of events that cannot be accommodated given the time constraints. In this example, it was my mother pleading my case to the principal, the legendary Mr. Richard Roper, to allow me to transfer from Manning's to Monroe. This was another inflection point in my life. City set upon a hill is a metaphor, but Monroe is physically located at the top of the Santa Cruz Mountains at an elevation of 645 meters or 2,100 feet above sea level. I recall my first day like it was yesterday. The thick fog, the wind howling through the pine trees, the cold, and the icy cold water in the showers. It was as if I had been deposited in a foreign country, and I questioned my parents' love for me. But Monroe built character, and it was at Monroe that I first considered law as a career option. One day in lower six, the teacher asked us about our career goals, and I was overcome with panic because I realized I had absolutely none. A few students said law, and I said, me too. Statistically, law was an unwise choice because no student from Monroe had been accepted into the Faculty of Law at the University of the West Indies for approximately 7 years. That trend continued. No one from my upper sixth year was accepted. So with no backup plan, I was forced to take a gap year, which I spent working as a teller in a bank in Ocho Rios. I decided it would not have been prudent to apply to the Faculty of Law the following year, so I chose the Faculty of Social Sciences, and after my first year, I was granted a transfer, an improbability, and another inflection point. After completing my course of study and training at the Norman Manley Law School, I started working as an acting clerk of the court at the Resident Magistrates Court for the parish of St. Andrew at Halfway Tree, which you've already heard. My first month was traumatic for reasons that are best left unsaid. I decided to resign, but was given the option of working with another magistrate. And I took this opportunity. But whenever I had the chance, I would observe proceedings in court number 1, which was in which Her Honor, Mrs. Justice Norma McIntosh, as she then was, presided. She was known to be strict, with very high standards, and famously did not take a lunch break herself, but allowed the clerk to be relieved for that period. One day I was in my office after having my usual early lunch, and I was advised that Her Honor, Mrs. McIntosh wanted me to continue the prosecution of a case that had already started. My stomach felt queasy, and my knees felt weak, but I started to self-motivate and hype up myself, as they say, like I was about to run the finals of a big race, invoking the Nike slogan that was popular at that time, "Just do it." It was a difficult witness, and after successfully leading the evidence, Her Honor, Mrs. McIntosh said, "Thank you, Mr. Laing. There was no, you did a good job, or any compliment for that matter. But I noticed the slightest hint of a smile, and as soon as I went through the door, I exclaimed, 'Yes!' So, fortuitously, a few weeks later, her acting clerk was accepted into the Faculty of Law, and I became her clerk of court. This was another inflection point in my life. I learned a lot prosecuting before her. She provided guidance without unduly interfering in the trial process. The court was productive and very efficient. The Honorable Chief Justice likes statistics, and I can assure him that if statistics were collected back in those days, those for the court would have been impressive by any standard. Naturally, the work of the court was recognized by the powers that be, and Her Honor Mrs. McIntosh was quite rightly elevated to the Supreme Court. She was replaced in Court 1 by none other than Her Honor Ms. Gloria Smith, as she then was, who continued with the same exacting high standards and efficiency. I further refined my skills with her guidance, and with her encouragement, I ended up at the office of the DPP. So I wish to thank these two jurists for their contribution to my development at the early stage of my career. They both provided me with a solid foundation in the law of evidence and criminal practice, on which I was able to build. And they both went on to have careers of distinction after leaving the half-retreat court. Observing the manner in which they dispensed justice planted the seed in my mind that one day I could become a judge, and I am deeply appreciative of your inspiration. Unfortunately, Justice McIntosh is unavoidably absent, and she sends her apologies. Thank you, Justice Smith, for attending. The Chief Justice has given a synopsis of my circuitous career, and I won't repeat that. I'll just say all the experience that I have gained along the way has prepared me, in my mind, for the appellate bench. So that's my story in a nutshell. It is a story of someone who managed to exploit the opportunities that were presented by the grace of God, and importantly, hard work. Along the way, I got married twice. I have two adult sons, Keanu and Kobe, who are my greatest gift. So in wrapping up, on behalf of my fellow appointees, we thank all our family members, friends, colleagues, and court staff who have supported us and who have made it possible for us to pursue our careers as judicial officers. However, I'm again constrained to trespass on the generosity of my fellow appointees and on your patience to briefly express my gratitude to some of the people who have been a part of my trek through life. I have been blessed to have a very large number of paternal and maternal relatives and two sets of in-laws, most of whom now live abroad. They have always been supportive of me on many levels. Time does not permit me to thank them adequately, but they know they are appreciated and loved. In particular, I must acknowledge my sisters, Grace, Donna, Joan, and Carol, as well as Marcia, who predeceased us. My younger brother, Courtney, is present. And if you ever had any doubt as to the necessity of judges giving the warning about the dangers of mistaken identification, just have a look at him. I am tired of people misidentifying us, especially since I'm much better looking. To my parents, I am perpetually grateful. My father passed away in 2007, and my mother will be 90 years old in July. If I start speaking about my mother and all that she has done, I will get emotional. So I will simply say, thank you, Mom. I did not become the medical doctor as you wanted, but you'll just have to settle for a judge of appeal. I know you're still proud. To my wife, Nadine, thank you for being my biggest supporter in all respects. To my friends, almost all of whom are friends from first form at Monroe, thank you for your friendship throughout the years, and thank you for providing a safe space where I can let my hair down, so to speak, and discuss the serious and less serious issues of life. I feel constrained to implore you, please do not at any point after this event perform the Bobo Skiwa Antala Ala Skiwa chair. If you do, I will personally ask the Deputy Governor General to have you all unceremoniously removed from the premises. For the record, the first word of that chair is Bobo, B-O-B-O, not to be confused with any other word. To my batchmates of the class of 1991, I enjoyed sharing the journey with you. Too many memories to even begin reminiscing. My colleagues at the Supreme Court, I will miss just being a few steps away. Remember, whenever I sit on a panel that overturns one of your decisions, please blame the other two members, even if I write the judgment. Incidentally, to the judge occupying Chamber 19, since I am now appointed, I'll be there first thing tomorrow morning to collect my official Jamaica flag, my artwork, and my other sundry items. Last but not least, to my brothers and sisters in the Court of Appeal, mostly sisters. You have welcomed me with open arms and made the adjustment easy. You have welcomed me, I learned to embrace the collegial environment and the consultative process that ultimately results in the judgments of the court. I am especially grateful to former President Brooks, who assisted me during the early stages of my transition. Thank you, sir. I can sincerely say that I am honored to become a member of this court and will do everything within my being to uphold its high standards and to make a meaningful contribution to its continued success. I look forward with great anticipation to sharing this next stage of my professional journey with you. In closing, and I hear the sighs of relief, my colleagues and I express our gratitude to everyone who attended in person. Thanks also to all of you who view the proceedings virtually. We are aware that many of you are abroad and could not make the trip to Jamaica, while others who are present in the country would have liked to attend but could not be accommodated because of space limitations. Best wishes to everyone in Jamaica and the diaspora for a healthy, peaceful, and productive 2025. Good morning.
Thank you so much, Justice Laing. Ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of this function. And on behalf of the Deputy Governor General, I thank you for attending this important ceremony as a mark of your support to the newly sworn judges and, of course, respect to our judiciary. Congratulations to all the judges. We wish you every blessing in your execution of your duties. The protocol personnel will prepare for a photo opportunity at the front of the ballroom with the Deputy Governor General, Chief Justice, and the judges. Thank you for coming. Have a blessed day.